Welcome to Heaven University. More than 100 countries in this world of ours have beautiful landscapes, internet connections, and reasonable prices. And so you'd have to be lacking personality and imagination if you're just another digital nomad heading off to Mexico, Bali, Portugal, or Thailand, right? Well, we're Heaven, global taxi experts who work with hundreds of remote workers, and I'm about to show you that there's more here than meets the eye. A small group of countries truly have optimized themselves for digital nomads. But what exactly led these lucky few to get a head start on everyone else? And how have they transformed in the 5 years since so many remote workers started spending their money there? And finally, how do they compare to the new generation of nomad hotspots? Countries like Costa Rica, Colombia, Georgia, Vietnam, and the Philippines. Let's find out. We'll begin with what started the boom. Between 2019 and 21, two global phenomena converged. Firstly, travel vlogging on YouTube and Instagram really took off. It showcased the freedom and surprising affordability of working from a laptop around the world. At the same time, pandemic lockdowns in 2020 had unique impacts. Remote work was suddenly normalized due to social distancing laws, and in addition, tourism was frozen, which incentivized countries to find new ways to attract international spending. All of this combined to create people who were hungry for travel and countries that were hungry for new revenue. And at that very moment, a small number of cities found themselves in the perfect position. Particular parts of Mexico, Bali, Portugal, and Thailand had already established themselves as leading tourist destinations. They sat in a unique Goldilocks zone that featured incredible landscapes and culture, alongside prices much lower than those in the Western world. That meant they had an abundance of accommodation designed for foreign tastes, power and internet infrastructure capable of handling population surges, and local businesses adept at speaking English. At the same time, their governments understood that allowing foreigners to work in a legal grey zone on tourist visas would allow offshore money to flow into their domestic businesses. And so it began. The initial result was chaotic. Nomads came in as tourists or on short-term business visas and extended their stays in-country by doing what are known as visa runs, maxing out their day counts before hopping over the border for as little as a few hours and coming back in with a reset visa. The country's governments weren't blind to it. They could see on social media the lifestyles being lived and the reality of these border runs. But at the end of the day, foreign money was being injected into their local businesses, and Instagram posts were marketing their cities as must-visit destinations. There was also another factor pulling in digital nomads. Because each country featured lower living costs than what most were used to, they could have a taste of a far higher standard of living. For people earning less than USD 100k, maids, personal chefs, and large houses became real options. So, after 5 years of this becoming a viable lifestyle, what's changed? In 2026, these countries feature a range of benefits hyper-optimized for remote workers. First, there are the incredible network effects. The now established communities of remote workers in Lisbon, Mexico City, Chiang Mai, and Bali are made up of founders, developers, content creators, and investors, allowing new arrivals to easily find future projects and business partners. Secondly, there's the optimized infrastructure. There are regular events for digital nomads, accommodation options that offer hybrid living and working spaces, and many co-working spots with powerful internet and dedicated meeting rooms. For professionals with serious responsibilities, this creates a plug-and-play type scenario that minimizes the friction of adapting to a new environment. But the infrastructure extends beyond professional services. These countries have learned that remote workers also look for many quality of life services, gyms, food delivery, laundry, and saunas and spas. The result is that you'll find some of the world's most well-equipped and well-thought-out gyms here, as well as an abundance of services to take care of chores and transportation. Another very real development is the incentive for governments to protect their new cash cows. The last thing they want is crime to put nomads on edge, so they've dramatically increased police presence in key locations. The most explicit example is Thailand's Tourist Police Bureau. Finally, 5 years of Nomads experimentation and learning have given birth to an abundance of guides and helpful information. Before they've even left home, a totally new traveller can be confident that they'll get on their feet in one piece. However, there have also been other developments. First, increased demand means increased prices. Since 2020, prices in nomad hubs across Portugal, Bali, Thailand, and Mexico have boomed. However, before you panic, keep in mind that these are still countries with cost of living figures dramatically lower than those in the West. Secondly, intensive foreign interest comes with cultural homogenization. Local businesses optimizing themselves for foreign tastes can be a turn-off for people truly hunting for culture. The good news is that in most nomad hotspots, a 15-minute drive is all it takes to reach towns still operating in local fashion. Finally, some governments, like Thailand's, see the opportunity in taxing remote workers. In 2025, they updated their laws to at least partially tax offshore income. With that said, such measures are still offset by Thailand's low cost of living. In addition, other countries aren't necessarily following suit. Now, by contrast, what does the latest generation of nomadic hotspots offer? A combination of factors has countries like Costa Rica, Colombia, Georgia, Vietnam, and the Philippines trending as new destinations for remote workers. These countries have now had the time to improve their infrastructure and English proficiency. At the same time, they feel comparatively untouched and haven't yet seen the price rises that come with intense foreign interest. That means it's still absolutely possible to live for less than $1,000 per month while maintaining a great standard of living. Tastes of extreme luxury can also be had without commanding top-tier Western incomes. Another often overlooked benefit is the lower pressure on housing and road infrastructure relative to more popular destinations. Seasonally, it can be difficult to find the right accommodation in some nomad hotspots, and traffic congestion is a real part of life in places like Lisbon in Portugal and Canggu in Bali. Less foreign interest can also be nice. Fewer selfie sticks to dodge in the streets, and fewer burger, pizza, and ice cream shops. You can expect accommodation to reflect local preferences and styles, and restaurants still catering to local taste buds. With that said, less development has its drawbacks. Power grids can be prone to brownouts, which are temporary power outages, and internet connections can be spotty. The good news is that in a pinch, these can often be mitigated with a power bank and a hotspot connection from your phone. If you're a creative who does most of your work asynchronously in your own time, outages might not be a big deal at all. Similarly, you might not be bothered by them if you work with a small team and clients who know you well. By contrast, if you're pitching to new investors and feel your peace of mind might be threatened by potential interruptions, a country with mature infrastructure might make a lot more sense. To wrap up, the most important question for everyone is what countries am I most excited about visiting? Ultimately, that passion leads us to the right places, and this information is best seen as helpful food for thought rather than the ultimate decider of which places are good or bad. We're Heaven. We help location-independent workers and companies legally minimize their taxes and maximize their freedom. I'll see you next time.